Well, if you think the fabric is too dark, then we just recover it. And no extra charge. Well, what do you expect? You're my number one customer. And don't you forget, you're my number one customer. You're my number one customer. Liz, hi, honey. How are you?
Howard, where are you?
I know, Chinese karate class. Don't worry. I'll meet you there. I promise. And don't forget, you're my number one customer. Liz, look, I didn't mean that. Liz?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
For the greater good.
That's right.
Yes.
I half expected you to try to do it in a Schwarzenegger accent. Yeah.
Well, that's why I didn't.
Yeah,
Because I figured you would.
Yeah, gotta shake things up. Got to keep me on my toes.
I guess that was more of a Phil Hartman than anything else.
Oh yeah,
It's probably close to that.
Yeah, I could feel you being inappropriate and creepy with me there. It was nice.
Yeah.
This is episode 460, and tonight we're talking about Jingle All the Way, the 96? Yeah, 1996.
Yeah.
Jingle All the Way. So, sorry, I got distracted by a shiny thing. I am Shawn. So there's no Sam tonight, so I'm going to give myself Sam's nickname. So, I am Shawn.
Well, you can't say that on the radio.
What?
Oh, a different nickname. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. No, not my other nickname. No.
Okay.
I am Jingle All the Way. I am Shawn. Will punch a reindeer, all red. And joining me tonight is Andrew. The Rocketeer was a better flyer, Jimison.
Well, I mean, maybe. It took the Rocketeer a little bit longer, I think, to figure it out.
I know. I think what I was trying to get to is like the flying scenes looked better in the Rocketeer.
Oh yeah, you definitely.
But that movie's trying to make it look good. I think this movie is okay with it looking terrible.
Yeah, but they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie came out when I was in 6th grade.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Stan would have been in college at this point, and I was a freshman in high school.
Well, I guess he was getting insurance by that point.
Yeah. What time of 96? I guess that matters.
It does.
Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, I'm looking at it too.
I can't really find it here.
Yeah, I can't either. It's usually at the bottom on the IMDb page.
Yeah. Well, 96.
96. Sometimes in 96.
Oh, I see. November 22nd, 96.
But yeah, I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah. I guess I would have technically been going in. Well, I would have been in 7th grade at this point. Yeah. I was one of those few that I guess my years added or equaled the grade that I was in. So, for instance, in 1990, I was in kindergarten. 91, I was in first grade. 92, I was in second. Yeah. So it's really easy for me to remember what grade I was in.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. Yeah, that actually is neat. I had no things there. The only thing that I had going for me is that I graduated in 2000. So, I had that even number.
Luckily, because we didn't know it was going to happen on January 1, 2000. Yeah, we thought the world was going to end.
Y2K, man, that was a big damn deal.
Oh yeah,
I remember that. If you're too young to remember that, ask a grown up. But I think the majority of our listeners are old enough to remember Y2K. So yeah, Jingle All the Way. So I picked this movie simply because I just wanted a fun, wholesome Christmas movie to do for the show, and especially since what we're doing next week. I just wanted a fun, Christmas movie to do, and it's been years since I've seen it. Probably since high school. Since I've seen
Really?
it. Oh yeah, easily. It's probably
Wow.
been 98 or
This
so.
is on my like yearly Christmas watch list.
Yeah, when I mentioned because earlier, so this is what happens. It's a little inside baseball here. This is what happens. We do an episode on Wednesday. I say what movie we're doing next week in the recording, right? By Thursday, both Andrew and Sam have forgotten what next week's movie is. Usually by Sunday or Monday, I remind them in our text group, hey, this week's movie is such and such. Still, sometimes they'll forget and ask the question on Tuesday at like noon, what's our movie this week? And so then I want to remind them. So on this week, I think what happened was, I think last night it was either last night or Monday night, you and I were playing video games together, and you said, oh, what's the movie this week? Oh, it's Jingle All the Way. And you said, oh, I could quote that whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this is a regular for you. So this
it is.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I have some regular Christmas films that I feel like it's not Christmas if I don't watch those films.
Yeah.
So I have, of course, Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
I've got Jingle All the Way. Both Home Alone 1 and 2. Anything past that does not count.
Correct.
And is not a Home Alone movie. I don't care what anybody says.
I agree.
Yeah, and then maybe every other year I'll watch The Christmas Story. I'm not a huge fan of The Christmas Story.
All right. Yeah.
And then Elf every year as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Yeah, and I think it all started when I was young because we had the it was a recorded from TV copy of the Charlie Brown Christmas and the claymation Rudolph, and there was something else I think that was in that little stack of Christmas movies. And every Christmas I can remember asking my parents if we could watch that VHS, and they every year pulled it out and dusted it off and made sure the ribbon wasn't gonna come out and fall apart when we played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think maybe it's just become a tradition. I just have these movies that I like to watch at Christmas time.
That's cool. Well, yeah, and we do the same, but it's interesting because the traditions for me didn't start until I got married. Growing up, and this is very true, growing up, I have zero memories of watching Christmas movies except the Mickey's Christmas Carol and the Chipmunks Christmas, where it's chipmunks or get in the tree, Mickey's tree, and them and Pluto are like fighting and stuff. I mean, it's a 7-minute cartoon. It's not like a movie,
right?
And I also had that on VHS. I would watch that 6 times a Christmas, season. But there weren't Christmas movies that we watched as a family. I have no memory of that. My memories of the Christmas time spent with the family are honestly, like helping mom bake in the kitchen and watching college basketball.
Yeah.
Like, because college basketball is on during this time of year a lot. So I have a lot of memories, watching college basketball and trash talking my mom at Christmas. Because she is a Duke fan and I'm a Tar Heels fan, a Carolina fan. So
right.
So it wasn't until I got married that we started watching these movies over and over. And it wasn't until we had kids before I was eventually forced to watch the Charlie Brown Christmas special, because it's well documented on this podcast. I don't like Charlie Brown. I don't like any of those cartoons, but I watched them.
Grief.
Yeah, I watched them for the kids.
Right.
And I and I keep my comments to myself. I keep, because I don't want my disdain for the cartoon to rub off on them. If they want to hate Charlie Brown, they're going to do that on their own. I don't want to.
Right. For their own reasons.
For their own reasons. I don't want to influence. So the ones that we watch every year, and we actually have it like almost like in an order. Right? So Christmas Eve is always the Muppets Christmas Carol, because they sing the song "One More Sleep Till Christmas," right? We also watch the Polar Express, usually on the 22nd. I know Sam would, make a shuddering because he hates the
I'm not
Uncanny
a huge
Valley.
fan either.
I think it's fine. It's a Robert Zemeckis film. I like the music. It's fine. It's fine. You just don't look at their eyes or their mouths.
Yeah.
Just, the movie came out about 5 years too soon, I think is the problem.
It really did. Yeah, I think if we had the technology of today and that movie came out, it would be great.
Yeah. I mean, have Zemeckis do it again.
Right.
With Tom Hanks and all this stuff. Same songs. Let's just up that. Let's just fix those faces, can we? In fact, I think if they did it again, and somebody probably will, I would like it to seem more stylized.
Yeah.
Make it look more like Tintin.
Right.
Where they don't have to look exactly like humans.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not distracted by the fact that they don't look like humans.
Right. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was one of the first films where we tried to make, the characters look human.
Yeah.
And less animated.
Yeah, I'm think there's some other films of that time period. I know Beowulf was one of them.
Oh yeah.
And there's some others, but yeah. Anyway, so we watched that one, and then some other ones that we do watch every year. We also we like Elf in this house. We also watch all 3 versions of How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that one was on when I was a kid. That one was on the VHS as well.
Yeah, and I think I probably watched that one too. Sarah can quote it. She could word for word the whole thing. It's rather interesting. But I actually do enjoy the Jim Carrey version. I think it's funny. I like Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan.
Yeah,
especially with his earlier stuff, but that one doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, but it works for me. I mean, there's a couple of jokes that still makes me laugh. When he's doing the bit with the dog, right? He puts the red nose on the dog, and he says, "Okay," and he puts on he literally takes Ron Howard's hat and puts it on. He says, "Okay, here's your motivation. You're a freak with you're a reindeer. You're a freak with a red nose, and no one likes you. Then one day Santa comes along and wants you to save Christmas. No, forget that. It's too commercial. You hate Christmas. You want to steal it. Saving Christmas is a lousy ending. Action!" And then the dog pops off the nose, right? And then he goes, "Brilliant. You reject your own nose because it represents the glitter of commercialism. Why didn't I think of that? Cut, print, check the gate, moving on." And then he looks at the camera when he does it, right? He's making fun of Ron Howard.
Right.
And I know that. And so when he says, the phrase cut, print, check the gate is a film term. And I think I've said this on the podcast before, as the film comes through the out of the wheel, goes through the camera, through the lens, or behind the lens to capture the light that you're aiming at, and then it goes through a gate. And so you check the gate to make sure that no film had gotten bunched up or any schmutz had gotten in there to booger up the film.
Yeah.
So once you check the gate, gate's good, then you can move on. Otherwise, you have to clean the gate and you have to shoot it again. So that's a film thing. So every time I see it, every time it makes me laugh. It does. So, I do like this topic. This is a fun topic. So we watched this past weekend. We watched, and we also will do the Home Alone movies. We probably won't watch both of them, but we'll definitely watch the first one. We haven't yet this Christmas, but we will. But a new tradition, and right now it's my favorite kind of new modern Christmas, like not the ones that we grew up with, right? Not the Home Alones or the Mickey Christmas specials, or
you and the kids get together and watch Die Hard.
No, I cannot wait for Declan to be old enough to watch that with him. It's going to be a bit where we're going to watch it without his mother.
Yeah.
Because if it were up to her, he would be 18 when he finally watches it. And
right.
I was 14 when I watched it for the first time. So, anyway, we've been watching Klaus, which is the Netflix animated.
Yeah.
And I adore that movie. I think it's just fantastic,
I
and
think I've seen it once. I don't
it
remember.
makes me. Didn't we do it for the podcast?
Maybe so. Maybe that's where I saw it.
We did.
There is a new one that we watch.
Yeah, we did.
What's the one with the Jack Frost kid?
I don't know.
Is it Epic? Not Epic. That's different.
Yes, Jack Frost kid.
Well, he's a kid, and I think he's
It's
Jack Frost.
Yeah, it's the Guardians, right?
Yeah, Guardians. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched that one too. That's a good one to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
And then, of course, more recently, I guess, are all the Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
yes, and we'll definitely
Yeah.
watch the Santa Claus. Definitely the first one. Maybe not the rest of them, but we definitely do the first one.
Yeah, the first ones.
Yeah, and a lot of
Okay.
times these are movies that we put on, like especially as we're getting close to the break, and
Mhm.
the kids are going to be home, and Sarah will be making cookies and stuff. Like,
Right.
you put on the Santa Claus while you're doing other things.
Right.
Because you don't always just have time to sit down. Again, some of the early ones I mentioned, and Klaus. Like again, we watched Klaus Saturday, and at the end of the movie, all four of us are crying at the end of that movie. All
Yeah.
four of us. It's just the way it ends it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and just bawling. All four of us. I mean, we're all wiping faces off. I mean, it's a good movie. It's so good that like when an animated movie can make you do that, it's so good.
Yeah. I
So-
tell you, you mentioned. I know we'll get to our movie in just a minute, but
Yeah, it's fine.
you mentioned A Christmas Carol, and I have to say that is one movie that I just have never enjoyed, and I think
Like
I remember as a kid,
or any of them, or just
any of them. I mean, the story itself is fine, I guess, but I can remember as a kid being a little like disturbed by it, because I think the first one I saw was the one with Patrick Stewart,
Okay.
and there's that there's the Christmas song that we sing that has there'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories, right? And I never knew what the scary ghost stories were until I saw that movie, and I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about here.
Yeah.
And I think I was just traumatized as a kid by that movie, and I've never liked it, any version, except maybe the Muppets, but I've only seen that one once.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you like Muppets, then you'll like it. If
Yeah.
you don't like Muppets, you'll hate it.
Right.
But it's a Muppet movie, and they break the fourth wall a handful of times, which is fun.
Yeah.
Like they're fully aware that the Muppets are different. Like there's literally a scene where they're in the marketplace, and the chef is there, and then he opens up the lid, and the fruit is also Muppets and are singing, and the rat goes, my mother told me not to eat singing fruit. Like little things like that. Like there's little jokes like that. And they do. Remember Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I know you saw that. Like when Roger takes his hand out of the handcuffs, and Valentine goes, "You mean you could take your hand out of the cuffs at any time?" He says, "Only when it was funny."
Right.
So like the scene is like they're trying to get through the gate, and Gonzo has to climb over the gate, and the rat climbs up, and he's like, "I'm gonna fall and die," and then he jumps, and Gonzo misses him, and he crashes into the snow, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot my jelly beans," and then he just walks through the bars and picks his beans up, and he goes, "Wait, you could fit the whole time?" And he just kind of goes, "Yeah." He's like, "You're such an idiot." Just little jokes like that for me work.
Yeah.
But I mean, the story itself is, it's kind of an interesting story, right? It's like, hey, you're mean and rich, and we're gonna scare you into being good. Have you seen Spirited yet?
I don't think I have.
So that's the Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell Christmas movie that came out last year.
No, I haven't seen that.
If we weren't already locked into doing what we're doing next week, I might almost want to switch it for that. It's the same movie, right? It's the same concept, story.
Yeah, plot line, sort of.
Except that Ryan Reynolds is the Ebenezer Scrooge focal point. but it's also a musical. But it's also a musical that it's aware that it's a musical.
Ah, okay.
So like there's a couple moments where like Will Ferrell wants Will Ferrell is the ghost of Christmas Present. And so he goes to his boss, who was Jacob Marley, and he says, I want this guy. We're gonna redeem this guy. And all of a sudden music starts playing, and then a spotlight comes on. He goes, nope, there's no need for a song. No, there's no need for a song. You can do it, just don't sing. And he's like, oh, okay. Thanks, Greg, for the spotlight. Perfect cue. Like they're aware that it's a musical, So if you like Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, then
well, yeah.
I mean, it's a good movie. We watched it with the kids earlier this year, so
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
it's got enough swear words in it that you're like, as a parent, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot they say that. But it's also, I mean, it's butt and ass and stuff like that, so it's nothing hell. I think a couple of times.
Yeah.
So it's like so like at one point, Will Ferrell is getting mad at Ryan Reynolds because Ryan Reynolds isn't doing what the Scrooge character does, and all of them. Scrooge just kind of goes along with everything, and Ryan Reynolds is like, no, I'm not just going to go along with you. And he's arguing with Will Ferrell the whole time. And Will Ferrell is like, will you just get off my ass and just do the thing? And Declan thought that was funny. And then another point, he was like, Will Ferrell says, he says, I'm just going to shove it up your butt. And Declan just lost it. He's like, shove it up your butt? Can I say that? I'm like, not in front of your teachers. So yeah, that's so Spirited. So this early 10 minutes of the podcast is
yeah, we didn't intend for this to happen. It just
no, I didn't. But also when it's just the two of us,
yeah,
I knew that the episode has the potential to be significantly shorter.
But this was a good conversation. Yeah,
it was, and I like this. I like these kind of conversations. But also, it's just fun to talk about Christmas movies because they're there to be wholesome and fun and happy, and
yeah.
They're the okay. And I'll say this too. This might be controversial. Maybe, I don't know. My wife watches Hallmark Christmas movies all year round, and I 100% support her for it because, as you know, Andrew, being a teacher, my wife's a teacher, special ed teacher. She has a hard job.
Oh yeah,
it's a hard job.
One of the hardest.
One of the hardest.
Yeah.
Within the teaching realm, I would not disagree. She has a hard job. For the most part, Andrew, if you go and do your normal job, you have your struggles and whatever. But for the most part, there's probably not going to be too many situations where you're going to get threatened with a lawsuit from one of your parents of one of your kids.
Right.
Where that's happened with Sarah several times, and pretty recently also. Sarah has that unfortunate thing inside of her that makes her care about her kids.
Right.
You really don't want that in a teacher. You want them to just come and teach and go home. But Sarah cares about the kids. And one kid was not being treated at home the way Sarah felt that they should and got involved.
Right, yeah.
And anyway.
How dare she care about children?
Yeah, I mean, she really shouldn't be doing that, and the guardian of that child was really upset that Sarah got involved, and
well, yeah,
because
they got caught on the carpet and made them look bad. Yeah,
oh yeah. And look bad, did they? So anyway, so if she wants to come home in June and pop on a Hallmark movie at the end of Wednesday night because she needs some stress relief, I 100% support it. So to my fellow husbands out there, if your wife likes to watch some Hallmark movies, let them have their thing. It's okay. If they ask you to sit there and watch. Yeah, they're predictable, but it's fine. I mean, most of the movies we watch are predictable anyway. It's
yeah. If I will say though, the Hallmark and the Lifetime Christmas movies do follow a certain formula.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
But
there's like, there's a
to each, yeah.
yeah. I think like you can even go online and hit the Hallmark movie plot generator,
hmm
where it's like 4 wheels to create a
Yeah.
movie, and they're all they're fine. It's fine. If it's got Lacey Chabert in it, I'll sit and watch it with Sarah just because I find her super attractive.
hmm
So there's that.
Yeah. We're right there with you.
So again, that wasn't actually being super controversial. I was just, for the sake of things.
To some.
I mean, some dudes are like, those things are awful and blah, blah, blah. And I hate the Hallmark movies. It's like, they're fine. And I think that I also support them because we don't have, if you think about movies, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, like there was a lot of rated R stuff. There was a lot of gruesome stuff. You still had a lot of those kind of movies, but it felt like there was a lot more just kind of fun, wholesome movies, right?
Right.
Singing in the Rain and
the guy always gets the girl, and they
yeah,
always live happily ever after. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just everything is fun and sugar and and just like it felt like there was just these happy movies all the time, and we kind of live whereas in the mainstream consumer that it's we got our comic book movies which are fun and kind of our popcorn movies, but we don't really have, except when Disney puts out one once a year, and even them have been less of just the feel good movies. They've been more, especially the last 5 or 6 years, they've been. I think it's like my generation is exorcising the demons from their childhood. Because seriously, if you think about it, think about like the last 5 movies that Disney Pixar has produced. There's not a bad guy. It's all issues with families.
Right.
Because it's like it's the 30 and 40-year-olds, our millennials and us, elder millennials that we are, geriatric millennials, I think is the phrase you
I
hate.
hate that term, but okay.
It's like we're trying to exercise all the boomer demons that we have with our parents and how stuck in the past they are and how single-minded they are and
how they can't use the internet.
Yeah, and how they ignored us for years. And I mean, like they literally had to have TV commercials that said, "Where are your children?" Because we forgot that we had children. So if like the movie Elementals comes out, right? It's it's a Disney version of West Side Story.
Yeah.
Except they're not gangs. It's just these people are separated because they're different, and then all the other people are over here, and then the two fall in love, and there's friction. Turning Red is about a girl. It's a coming of age story for a girl.
Which I haven't seen.
My kids liked it. I had no problem with it. Some people I know, my brother and sister-in-law, they hated it because they make a reference to getting your period.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my God, this movie is about getting your period." Well, no, it's not about that, but they make reference to it in the movie.
Wait, Shawn, are you saying that something that happens to actually a majority of the population of the world was mentioned in a movie?
Yeah.
And we are offended.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I made not very strongly, but I made the subtle argument of, well, you have 2 daughters who, and one of them might be going through this soon. So maybe this movie could help that moment seem less scary. Because if you're a kid and don't know that's about to happen, and all of a sudden one day you start bleeding from that space, it could be pretty scary, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, I've taught middle and high school age children now for 15 years. And I have personally witnessed the headspace that these kids are in when they start going through this whole process.
Right.
And for some of them, it's mentally like it's tough.
Yeah.
You can tell. I mean, they don't talk about it openly, but you kind of know.
Yeah.
Right. It can be jarring. So yeah, I'm okay with a little trash panda telling them, or whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
Telling them
It's a red panda. It really is.
The red panda. Yeah.
It's what Shifu is from Kung Fu Panda. The movie more is about an overbearing mother and her inability to let her daughter kind of be on her own. They just add the red panda part, little magic part to make it seem a little bit more fantasy.
Yeah.
What's Encanto about? It's about an overbearing grandmother who has control issues and is disappointed that the one granddaughter, doesn't have powers, and she's a disappointment and is there to break up the family, even though the rest of the family basically exiled one of the family members, the brother, Bruno, because he had powers that they didn't understand.
Yeah.
It's a family movie. Like, all of these movies are about how the family is the bad guy.
Right.
So
Coco.
yeah,
I mean,
Coco kind of,
isn't it like the grandpa or something that's like the
So Coco, the woman, the character Coco is the grandmother.
Yeah.
And they realize the boy, the youngest boy, Miguel, wants to be a musician, and he learns that his grandfather was a musician, and he ran out on the family, which is why the family hates music. And so,
Right.
in order for him to explore music, he goes to the underworld to find his grandfather, and he finds out that the guy who he thinks is his grandfather is kind of a bad guy. Not
Right.
is kind of, is a bad guy. And then then through some hilarity and whatever, and meeting other family members, he's able to. The real interesting part of Coco is that when you're in the afterlife, you exist in the afterlife as long as people remember you in the living world.
Right.
Which is why the Day of the Dead is so important, is to remember those that died, so that you can, so that they can live on in the afterlife. And Coco's husband, she's forgetting him, and the rest of the family doesn't want to remember him because they think he ran out on them. Miguel's the one that kind of is able to bring him back. So that one is
family issues. I mean,
family issues. Yeah. So the writers and animators and directors in Disney right now, they're all our age with family issues, is what it is.
Right.
So, I mean, heck, even Raya and the Last Dragon is kind of the same thing. I mean, there's a bad guy force, but ultimately the movie comes down to trust. You have to be able to come together and trust each other.
Yeah.
So,
just listening to your conversation, I realized that my children are now preteen and tween age, and I haven't seen a real Disney film in probably, I mean, the animated stuff.
Yeah.
Probably 3 years now, because a lot of those movies you're talking about, never seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, well, now you got some homework to do. I mean,
Yeah, I do.
And the boys might like them. I don't know. I mean, they would probably like Elementals. They would probably like some of the I'm trying to think of some of the ones that come out recently, but they would probably like those. I mean, if you do like family movie nights and stuff. I don't know if that's a thing you guys do or not. I mean, almost every Saturday, we like the four of us, we rotate who gets to pick the movie.
Yeah.
Because like to the kids, family movie night is super important. It's part of the tradition. So, and I'm going to hold on to that as long as I can.
Absolutely.
Because at some point, Declan will say, "I don't want to do that anymore," and it's just fine.
I'm going to go in my room, Dad, and lock my door.
Yeah.
Yeah, angsty teenager.
Yeah. Eventually, he's going to get to that.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying 11 right now. He still wants to hang out with us. So
right. Yeah.
I'm enjoying.
That's good.
So we're 35 minutes into this podcast, and we haven't talked about Jingle All the Way yet. So,
sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just threw my AirPod case on the floor.
I thought it was your dog for a second, like
no,
scurrying in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we mentioned Jingle All the Way, but why don't we talk about it?
Yeah. Now let's actually review it for a little bit, if that's okay.
If you're still listening to us, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different than we don't really get to have conversations like that on air. Yeah. So yeah, what is Jingle All the Way?
Well, Howard Langston who is a mattress salesman and a father. He vows to get his son a Turbo Man action figure for Christmas. However, every single store is sold out, and he must travel all over town and compete with everybody else in order to find one.
Langston seems like a weird last name for a guy that sounds like Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, as I watched it this time, which again, I see it every year, but as I watched it this time, I thought, with his accent, could they not have just said he moved here when he was a kid, or like he kept his Austrian name? Langston just doesn't sound
Yeah.
German or Austrian or any kind of Eastern European.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, might as well have called him Smith, I guess.
Yeah, it starts to make me wonder, like some of the other movies that we've seen him in, like Eraser or True Lies. Like, what's his name in those movies? Because it's
Right.
It's probably similar. Like I don't know what he is in those movies, but it's probably pretty similar. Anyway, what's your 5-word review on this?
Well, my 5-word on this one is not as good as it was. And what I mean by that is the first time I saw it, I really enjoyed the movie. And I think because I was 6th, 7th grade, and superheroes to me were still really awesome. Well, and they still are now, but as a kid, and I have to admit that I was one of those kids that I owned every Batman action figure that came out, and every Christmas or birthday, that's what I wanted, Ninja Turtles and Batman. And so I had all these action figures. And so I put myself in that kid's place, and I'm very much related to, his excitement about getting this Turbo Man doll and wanting it for Christmas. But watching it now, it's not good. The acting is terrible, especially the acting from the kids. I mean, the kids are just horrendous. The main character, Anakin, whatever his Jake something, right?
Jake Lloyd is his real name. Yeah,
Jake Lloyd. Yeah,
Jamie is a character name. Yeah,
right. He was okay, I suppose, but the other kid. I mean, if you just watch you can tell that the director was like, I need you to make this facial expression a couple times during the parade.
Yeah.
And it was awful. I mean, it was the worst acting I've ever seen. And I know it's a kid, but we've seen really great child actors, and this was not. But even, Phil Hartman, I know he's supposed to be kind of sleazy and creepy, but I guess maybe post Me Too and on into this woke world now that I am a part of, I have to say, like it or not, to our listeners. But I just felt like, oh my God, this guy is the creepiest person in the world, and I would have gotten a restraining order a long time ago. I mean, and you can certainly tell how times have changed, like just how he kind of talks to the women. And, if you were to reach your hand or hands around your neighbor's waist and pull her apron off, I would be decked in the face. I mean, I don't know my neighbor, but
yeah,
that just doesn't happen.
No.
But yeah, I mean, the story in itself is kind of fun. I love Sinbad. I've loved Sinbad in everything he's ever been in. He is a classic overactor, but in a good way because he makes it funny.
Yeah.
I think really he's probably the best part of the movie. He just throwing out his little things like, "You too, Barnaby Jones," like stuff like that makes me laugh.
Yeah. It's funny, that line got one of the biggest laughs from my kids, and they don't know who Barnaby Jones is. It's just the way he says it is funny.
Yeah.
But they have no clue who Barnaby Jones is, but like just the way he said it, my kids laughed at that, like just out loud. It was really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, but it has a lot of nostalgia for me, but it's not a great movie. I have to say.
Okay.
What about you? What's your 5-word?
So I have 2. 90s family wholesome violent comedy.
Okay,
and,
that
I,
it is.
and I only say violent because this is what happens. So when we get to the Jim Belushi Santa's in the warehouse bit, right?
Right.
And
Which is another terrible terrible acting moment.
and like when it turns into a street brawl, my son literally yells, "Oh, violence!" he was in. He was like, "Ooh, violence!" I wrote that down. It was so funny hearing him say that. I mean, because it turned into like a '90s action flick when you punch somebody, they fall down. And
Right. Well, I've always, even when I was in 6th grade, when he pulls the Santa Claus beard back and lets it go and it knocks him over and flips him around, I thought that would never happen.
no, yeah, obviously, equal and opposite action is not applied to
Right.
this movie. But then again, there's also a jetpack at the end of the movie, with in a parade. They give him a working jetpack. So, whatever.
I do love the line of, it was a terrible accident that happened earlier, whatever he says,
Yeah.
and we're pretty sure it's all worked out now.
Yeah, we're pretty sure he's going to be fine, and he's gained consciousness or something like that. It's like,
Oh
what?
yeah, he showed brain activity.
Yeah, brain activity. Yeah.
We think we've got all the kinks worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's okay. So that's the first one. Second one, commentary on materialism in America.
Yeah.
So we're watching the scene when they bust through the toy shop, and like, the store owner has like a boot print on his face, because it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And we said to our kids, that's what Black Friday used to look like.
Oh yeah.
And
when do you remember? Because I was trying to think when I saw that scene, what year that Black Friday really became like that kind of Black Friday.
I remember
because it's in our lifetime.
It is. I remember. So the video I'm remembering of like people fighting over TVs and the mob and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's old enough that the video quality is bad.
Yeah.
But I still think it was on someone's like cell phone, because it was in the crowd, like amongst like someone's holding it up. So it makes me think like 08, 09.
Okay.
Something like that.
That makes sense. I was thinking it might be a little earlier, but yeah, I guess it is something.
It's either before the recession or after. So probably not like 7 and 8, maybe not 9, but maybe 05, 06, maybe 99 to 05 was probably rough. I mean, I know this year, people are taking videos and Target's empty, because the economy, no, not the economy, but just prices on everything has gone up so much that, and the stores are being so blatantly obvious with their non-sales.
Right.
People are walking up where it says, Black Friday sale, and they just slide it out of the way, and the original price it's the same price.
So I just did a quick Google search, and I said, when was the first Black Friday? And it says the earliest known use of the term Black Friday referred to the day after Thanksgiving, occurring in the journal Factory Management and Maintenance for November 1951.
Sure.
And it says it referred to the practice of workers calling in sick the day after Thanksgiving. But as far as when it comes to shopping, I don't know. It doesn't say here.
I mean, I know it's been around.
1975 is what it says.
Okay, so I know it's been around a long time. But I remember I think that my point was, like the hordes of people like hurting each other for TVs or Furbies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people, violence will ensue because they need to get the toy or the thing. That's definitely within, not only our lifetime, but I think within the last 20 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading on, and it's talking about 2009. Yeah. It's talking about Kmart opening at 7 p.m. or 7 7 p.m. on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it was probably before that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, it just made me think about when the first Black Friday was. But that scene, it is very much like Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the other part of the movie, so a few notes that I wrote. So my first note was Anakin. I didn't know that Jake Lloyd was in this. I just forgotten. So I'm sitting there watching this movie going, I wonder if George Lucas saw this and said, that's our Anakin.
Yeah.
You know, a whiny kid that has to, you know, get his dad to bribe him to love him, you know, that was my third note was literally, let me buy your happiness. Just kind of where it comes. I mean, at the end of the movie, he's like, I don't need the toy. I have my dad. Like, oh, that's sweet. But you were still, and in fairness too, the dad puts the pressure on himself because, you know, in my second note, dads in the 90s were all workaholics in movies.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but
I did find it odd that he's like, when I think of workaholics, I don't really think of mattress salesman as being a workaholic, or even, you know, the CEO of a mattress company.
Yeah.
I just don't know that they work that much on, you know, the day before Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. I don't know much about mattress sales.
I don't know. Because you know, Tim Allen's the same character, right? He's but he's a sales rep at a toy manufacturer.
Right.
That like that for some reason that feels more believable than, especially since he's late because he's at a party. He's at the work party, whereas Schwarzenegger is at a work party and working. Right. So I don't know why we had to do that. I mean, maybe that's how it was in the 90s. That wasn't my experience.
No, mine either.
I mean, my dad was a band director. He didn't make more or less money by working extra hard like that. You know, he was a band director. He got paid the same.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's like you want to do a good job. You want the kids to, you know, succeed, but it's not like dad has to work on Christmas Eve to, you know, get the band ready to do a thing. So, so he came to all of the things that, you know, I was doing because he could and chose to. So I was lucky in that regard. But yeah, to your point, this movie, is it good? I mean, it's fine. It's a fun movie. I mean, it's been 20 years since I've seen it, so I had forgotten. I mean, if you would have said, "Hey, what's Jingle All the Way about?" It's two dudes, you know, fighting over a toy. I mean, that's what the movie is. And I knew Sinbad was in it, but I didn't really get that Sinbad's kind of the bad guy in this movie.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, to the extreme in some cases.
Yeah, to the extreme that he's willing to chase a child up a building to get the toy. So,
well, in all fairness, he was not the one that burned Balthazar's head.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that the wise men had names, but I guess one of them was Balthazar.
Yeah, well, of course they do. They have names.
Well,
I just don't know them, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, and that whole scene with Schwarzenegger in the guy's house was just the most ridiculous thing ever. I mean, frankly, all he has to do to get away with it, right? To not make Hartman feel like he's the superior ass, is when the deer comes in the house, just put the present down and just let the deer stay in the guy's house and just
right.
You're like, okay, that's a little bit of revenge, and you can just, you know, I don't know how the deer got in there. That's crazy.
Right.
And of course, Sarah says, okay, Phil Hartman would know, you know, like he would know not to leave the fireplace going and have no one in the house.
Right.
So the fact that, you know, Balthazar caught on fire is kind of his fault. And anytime Hartman was near one of the women, Declan would goes, "Ooh, that's cheating. They're cheating. That's cheating going on right there." And so then when she basically poured, I guess, hot coffee on him at the end of the movie or whatever, both my kids were like, "Yeah, Yes, you get.
For being a creep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just he was a good creep, but I think Schwarzenegger should have punched him in the face long ago.
Oh yeah. Did you get some Power Ranger vibes from the henchmen?
Yeah. And why were they like actually punching Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like,
I don't know.
they were still all part of the bit. Like they were aware that this was just a bit, but they're like actually hurting him.
I don't know if it was because he was actually maybe pushing them or something. Because
maybe,
one of them says, "Do you not know the choreography?" or something like that.
Oh, maybe. I forgot about that. And
So they just turned on him and started hitting him.
yeah, and then Booster, like, no one likes you, Booster, and then he gets punched, and all the kids come over and start beating up on Booster.
Those are some douchey kids, I tell you that.
Oh my God, yes. You're not.
I
wrong.
mean, Booster is a giant pink saber-toothed tiger wearing a thong,
Yeah.
but he doesn't deserve to get kicked.
But the guy inside the costume is just a guy doing a job. He doesn't deserve to get beat up.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. Also, when he's like, "You have a reindeer," and he goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "What are you gonna do when it gets summer?" And he goes, "Oh, I found a glade where there's deer, and they're gonna take him in." I'm like, I don't think that's how that works.
Not at all.
I don't think if you just set a reindeer loose with deer, they're gonna be like, "Hey, come join our reindeer games." I don't think that's how that works. I think that reindeer eventually is just gonna. I mean, it'll probably be fine, but probably gonna get
Maybe.
shot by a hunter.
Yeah.
Oh, you killed a reindeer. Speaking of reindeer, this is what I learned when I went to Alaska. So you know what the difference between a caribou and a reindeer is?
What's that?
A caribou, a reindeer is just domesticated caribou.
Oh yeah.
So like in the Polar Express, they run into a herd of caribou.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's a big, it's a plot point in the movie. If he takes a harness and puts it on one of them and takes it home, it's a reindeer. It's the same animal.
Huh. I always thought they were different.
I did too until I went to visit my family in Alaska, and that's what my uncle told me. Now, that's one of those things that my uncle told me that I've never taken the time to corroborate if I'm right or not.
Sounds like I'm getting ready to Google something else.
I mean, feel free, but it's also one of those things where I feel like even if they are in fact different animals, in order to honor my uncle, I want to keep that going.
Well, we're about to find out just because I'm curious.
No, that's fine. And I really hope that it's true. Like, I hope that's the case because
reindeer and caribou are in fact the same animal.
Okay. That makes
and a member of the deer family. Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
In North America, the animals are called caribou if they are wild and reindeer if they are domesticated.
Hey, Uncle Steve.
There you go.
Right. Man.
Pull them through there.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody has an Uncle Steve. You know, obviously he's a different name, but you know, my Uncle Steve was, you know, the guy that like he could fix anything. He was an electrician during the Vietnam War, and he could fix anything. But that also meant that like nothing was ever 100%.
Yeah,
you know, like we rode around in a truck that at any point might explode.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's just kind of how it was. He loved telling stories, and he had just the craziest stories. Uncle Steve may he rest in peace. He was a cool dude to hang out with. I mean, he was so far right of the political spectrum. It was, you know, a little bit crazy, but
yeah,
he was still fun. He was still family. All right. So the big Santa that shows up during the fight scene in the warehouse,
yeah,
that actor is 6'11".
So is that, I wasn't sure, but is that guy a professional wrestler?
Yes.
I thought so, because I thought he looked familiar, but I don't know his name.
I don't know,
but
I'm not gonna look it up real quick. But
pretty sure he was.
When I went to his credits, they were all WWE, and then
Yeah.
this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Last couple notes here. I did like this one. Cop gets blown up, but is still having to work. Still has to work on Christmas. The
Right.
most government thing ever.
Yeah, I thought about that too. And he literally is holding a bomb and it explodes, and his hands look like maybe they've been blown to shreds.
Yeah.
And yet he's on the float waving at the like,
Yeah.
go home, like take a Tylenol.
Yeah. You've been on the force long enough. This guy's been, he's obviously been around a long time. Let him go home and take a nap. Seriously. Anyway, that's all my notes. I don't know if we really talked about the movie all that much, but it's a good Christmas movie. But it's another one of those where the dad kind of sucks and he has to do all these crazy things in order to kind of win the approval of his family. And and of course you like the fact that the mom is stays loyal to him and doesn't go along with Phil Hartman or anything like that.
Yeah.
In this movie, then it turns into a way different movie if she's like, yeah, okay, let's go. My husband kind of sucks. So anyway, you ready for a few clips?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Here is young Anakin Skywalker. Once again, I forgot to turn the volume up. Okay, young Anakin Skywalker.
I want the Turbo Man action figure with the arms and legs that move, and the boomerang suitor, and the rock and roll jetpack, and the realistic voice activator that says 5 different phrases, including "It's Turbo Time." Accessories sold separately, batteries not included.
I like that he basically just memorized a commercial.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was this kid growing up. Like I would quote commercials when I would tell people what I wanted. And I did a little radio show with my friend with a cassette player, and we would make commercials like that. And I would say, batteries not included, accessories sold separately, that kind of stuff.
Some assembly required. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny. I love it. You mentioned Sinbad earlier. Here's a good Sinbad rant.
We are being set up by rich and powerful toy cartels.
Oh, come
Now
on.
you got these big fat cats sit there using working class just like me and you. They spend billions of dollars on TV advertisement, and then they sit there and use subliminal messages to suck your children's minds out. And I know what I'm talking about because I went to junior college for a semester and I studied psychology, so I'm right in there. I know what's going on. And then they sit there and make a kid feel like garbage if you, the father who's working 24/7, delivering mail so you can make an alimony payment to a woman that slept with everybody at the post office but me. And then when you get the toy, it breaks and you can't fix it because it's a little cheap plastic. You know what I like to do? I like to walk up in that office, grab one of those guys, and just chuck him until his eye pops out. Shouldn't wear.
Shouldn't wear fur.
You shouldn't wear fur.
Yeah. I didn't hear it until you played the clip there, but the person in the background going, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's funny. This clip is called Password. I've already forgotten what that means, but we'll find out.
Password.
Oh, all right.
Jingle bells, Batman smells.
I love Jim Belushi in that role. He cracks me up.
yeah.
Still one of my favorite Jim Belushi roles. And not that I've seen a lot of his movies or roles, but I still love him in the movie K-9.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's like, it's like Turner and Hooch or the cop version of Beethoven. Like for some reason, again, early 90s, we were doing lots of movies with dogs. But one of my favorite scenes is because he has like this 66 Mustang convertible and the dog is really stinky. So he sends the car through the car wash with the convertible top down and he seatbelts the German Shepherd into the car so that the dog has to get through the car wash. He opens the door, all his water pours out, sits down in the seats, which is all squishy, and goes, it's worth it. It's funny. Here's the Barnaby Jones bit.
Back up. This is a homemade explosive device, and I'll blow it up. Know why? Because I work for the post office, so you know I'm not stable. Tell them.
This man is totally insane.
Thank you. Now put the guns down. Now, put them down. Brother man, put your gun down. Everybody. You too, Barnaby Jones.
It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. He's funny. Did you ever see him in the movie The Cherokee Kid?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, he was one of our favorite family comedians because he was pretty clean.
Yeah.
As a stand-up comedian. So my parents would watch him and Jeff Foxworthy.
Okay.
When we were growing up, and they had cassette recordings of the stand-up, and we would listen to it just while we were traveling because it was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
And so when he came on to the film scene, really, and started making movies, and he did was it First Kid? Is that the name of the thing where he's a CIA special Secret Service?
Secret Service, yeah.
Yeah. And then Cherokee Kid. There was something else. I mean, there was this movie, and there was something else that he did.
Not Shazam.
No. Not Shazam. But yeah, he was a fun guy. I wish he still did stuff. I mean, he's still around, and I think he actually did a stand-up special not too long ago. But I wish he was still in the pop culture scene.
Yeah, me too. I do too. Yeah, Cherokee Kid. I probably watched. We recorded it on an HBO.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was an HBO produced movie. It didn't go to theaters.
Yeah, I think it was.
And I remember really enjoying it, and I watched it a bunch of times, probably 4 or 5 times. He had in his stand-up. I only watched it one time, but I watched it with our other Andrew friend. And the one bit that he says that has always stuck out to me was talking about how his mom had, when she was mad, it was like her arms would grow like really long, and so she would smack you. You know, she could hit you from anywhere in the house. Her arms would grow. And he said, I don't remember the whole bit. The part of the bit that I remember was that he had done something, and he knew the arms were coming after him, and that she was gonna, smack his butt off, like smack him so hard that his butt would fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bit was, he does the thing, and his friend yells, "Sinbad, drop your butt and run. Here come your mama's arms." And I've always remembered that, and I'm probably misquoting it, misremembering it. But like literally every time you and I are playing Fortnite with Sam, and like the storm's coming, if you ever hear me say, and I've said it before, if you hear me say "drop your butt and run," I'm quoting the Sinbad special.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that one day and listen to it again, because I know I'm probably misquoting it, but that's
it's something along those lines, though. Yeah. And I think it's in that same special where he talks about his dad pulling the belt off, and he says like starting a lawnmower, and it was like right coming out of the belt loops.
Yeah,
that's
funny. Sick. This is Sick. Yeah,
gentlemen, we've been duped. This is nothing but a harmless Christmas package.
That was really a bomb? Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
I love the idea that he was carrying around an actual. I mean, obviously not a very good bomb, but if
his bag must have been full, because he was throwing packages out as he was running.
Yeah. No one got their mail from him that day. I also wondered at the end, because the kid hands him the toy, but he's obviously going to go to jail. So like, does he?
Yeah. Like
when he calls his ex-wife and she comes to jail, can he give the kid the toy then? Like, these are the questions. Also, again, Sinbad. This just a throwaway line, but this had me and Declan just rolling.
Get out of the way, box! Oh!
It's when he's running, he's chasing the
Yeah.
kid, and there's like
Runs into the guy dressed as a present.
yeah. I don't know why that cracks me up.
Get out of the way, Buck!
I think it's the reaction that the guy has too. It's just so funny.
Get out of the way, Buck!
I'm gonna keep that. I don't know what I need it for, but I'm gonna keep that. That's just funny. I'm gonna put that right down there with some of the other fun things we have. So, all right.
I've always been impressed, even before I joined band in like middle school, high school. I was always impressed with the Santa Claus marching band, like the choreography. Of course, they're not actually playing, but the choreography, like they're all turning and they're all. It's more of like a dancing band than a marching band.
Yeah,
but it's really well done.
Okay. All right, time for this. Here.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
All right, we're gonna play the game, even though I'm by myself. But Andrew made a game, so we're gonna do it. It's the Hey, Did You Notice game. This is a game where Andrew was gonna ask me a couple questions to see if I noticed some stuff in the background. And
Tonight, the game is known as Stump Shawn.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see what you got.
Okay. So when Howard goes out, the first time he's looking for Turbo Man, he passes by a cinema on the main street there.
Yeah.
Before he goes to the very first store. What movie is playing?
What movie? I remember looking at that and dang it. I remember looking at that and trying to remember, like, that's something Andrew will ask, and I didn't write it down.
He actually passes by two like movie theaters, and one of them is playing Turbo Man the film, like
Turbo Man
the movie.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah,
because it was an actual movie.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it, I don't remember. Mickey's Christmas Carol. I don't remember.
The Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh dang. Okay, see, then I didn't see that. I must have only remembered Turbo Man the movie. I don't remember seeing that. But okay, all right.
Well, here's a music question for you.
Oh,
what music was playing when Howard was chasing the ball in the mall?
Isn't it that one way or another?
No.
Is that it? Why is that in my head?
I don't know. That's not even a Christmas song.
I know.
Most of the, actually, if not all of the music in this is all Christmas music.
Oh, is it a Christmas song? Christmas rock around the Christmas. No, that doesn't make sense. It's Jingle Bell Rock.
No, it's actually the Russian dance from the Nutcracker.
Oh, the Nutcracker. That's right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. We watched the Nutcracker. We watched the Nutcracker in the Four Realms because my kids like that movie.
I haven't seen it.
It makes me fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's
so his truck, his vehicle gets like stripped.
Oh yeah.
And he has to get a tow. What's the name of the towing company?
Oh jeez. Again, that was another thing that I looked at specifically and thought, "Oh, I need to remember that." But I didn't write it down. I wrote down other things, but not that one. I don't remember. Arnold's Towing.
Dakota Country Towing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. The parade banner.
Yep.
Can be seen. It is the blank annual Winterfest parade. How many years?
Oh, how many years? Oh,
yeah.
The 42nd, because 42 is always the answer to everything.
It's close. It's only the 12th annual Winterfest parade.
Well, gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then the last question. You probably thought I was going to ask what are the call letters of the radio station.
Yeah.
But what is the address of KQRS radio station?
15. No, it's 300 something. It's two blocks down. 15. I got 15 second hit. 1501.
You were close, but what? I'll go ahead and tell you. It's 360 is the number, but what's the street name?
I don't remember either.
Because he actually says it's two blocks down on the guy at the diner.
Yeah, which was Mickey's Diner, by the way.
Right.
That I wrote down.
Right. He says it's 2 blocks down on Wabasha Street.
Wabasha. Yeah.
Yeah. That Wabasha is a very Minnesota word.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the brand of whiskey that Sinbad was drinking?
Yeah. I was gonna make that a question, and I thought, no, he'll write that down.
I sure did.
Yeah. I want to say it's like old fashioned or
Yeah, you're close.
Yeah, something like the Old Homestead or
That's it. Old Homestead. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the other. This is the other one I wrote down.
Okay.
Jake's bedroom is what you call an orgy of evidence that he's a little boy.
Right.
Because we have to have everything little boy in there. Name. I wrote down 2, 3, 4. I wrote down 6 different comic book characters that are represented in his room. Can you name all 6?
Okay, I've got the Hulk.
Yep.
I've got Captain America.
Yep.
I've got the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
I have Thor.
Oh, okay. I didn't
see
see
that
Thor. I didn't. Thor I missed. Okay, so there's more than 6.
Yeah.
Did you write these down, or are these what you just remember?
No, this is what I remember. Was Silver Surfer one?
I didn't see Silver. So I didn't write it down.
Are you counting Turbo Man as a?
No.
No.
X-Men. Yep.
How many is that? 5?
Yeah.
They're all Marvel properties.
Not all. There's one. There's one DC property.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You gotta tell me. I don't know who it was.
It's Batman. He has a Batman alarm clock.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Right on the stand. He's got the 1989 Batman logo. That kind of the rounded wings. There was also Spider-Man and Venom.
Oh, I didn't see Venom either.
It's in the.
I think I saw Spider-Man. But...
Yeah, it's in the sheets. Like you can see the Venom like mask kind of peeling off of Brock a little bit. But it's in his bed sheets. I didn't see the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, Fantastic Four is on his pillow. Same thing. It's on the sheets. It's like a hodgepodge of
Marvel things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the ones that I wrote down.
Yeah. Well, I didn't write those down because I figured those are the ones you would notice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was
that in the whiskey.
Yeah. Okay. I did write down some Star Trek connections. Turbo Man himself was in an episode of DS9, and both of the news anchors were in Star Trek at some point or another.
Those are the cheesiest news anchors. And I know it's done on purpose.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
They're supposed to be, but it's like to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But
everything in this movie is, so that's all right.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
This is where we're going to give this movie a score from 0 to 10. IMDb gives this movie a something.
5.7.
5.7.
Yeah.
So the internet really love it.
I have to kind of agree, to be honest. You know, it's not a great movie. It's not well acted. And there's some issues with it. Does it hold up? Not really. But for me personally, there is some nostalgia, like I said. Sinbad makes it a better movie, in my opinion. I think if we had any other random person from the 90s, I don't know that I would have liked it as much. So I'm going to be about the same. I'm actually going to go a little bit lower. I'm going to say a 5.5.
Okay, I like that. I can't really disagree. Like you say, it's not a great movie. It's fine. It's entertaining, to be sure. And my kids liked it. Will we watch it next year? Probably not. But it's a good time. I'll give it a 5.6 just to make the numbers kind of fun. That gives it a nice round 5.55.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I think that's all right. And
Yeah.
That's not even our lowest of the year, not by a long shot. So we'll maybe next week. I don't know. Maybe that'd be fun to do. Maybe next week, because next week is our last movie of the year.
Just do like a recap.
Yeah, just kind of here's some of the highlights. Here's some of the lowlights. I mean, just at a glance, Halloween Ends is a low light. A really low light. In fact, it's the only movie that's in the 3s for this year. So there's that. Let's see. I'm gonna highlight this real quick so I can make this real easy for me. There. So it's we've got we had a shortened year because we had to take a break for a little while as a podcast, but we'll talk about that next week. It'll be kind of fun. But yeah, Halloween Ends, by far the worst movie that we reviewed of the year. So that's kind of fun. All right. Well, if you're wondering what we're doing next week, and this is what we have planned, and maybe we'll change it. I don't know. I guess it depends on the mood of us. So, because do you have Apple TV, Andrew?
I don't. No. And I think that's probably why I haven't seen.
That's probably why you haven't seen Spirited.
The Spirited movie. Yeah.
Because it's only on Apple TV.
Yeah.
The Apple TV made it, obviously. So, okay. Well, so next week, and our last movie of the year is Violent Night.
Yeah.
The David Harbour film, where it's I hear it's like Home Alone meets Die Hard or something.
Okay.
So I haven't seen it, but I heard it was really, of the many horror or hard R action flicks that revolve around Christmas and Santa and stuff, it's one of the better ones.
It's better than Anna and the Apocalypse.
I don't know. We'll find out. I know some people love that movie.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. So yeah, that's it. Next week, Violent Night. My son was really bummed out when I told him that he couldn't watch next week's movie.
Not for a while.
No. But we're going to start the New Year's off with a really fun thing. So I'm excited for that. I'll tease that next week with what we're going to start the year off. Not going to say with a bang. Just it might be a little weird. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
So in the meantime, go to our website, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. There you can find links to all of our stuff, where you can still looking for that last minute Christmas idea. You can buy a Cheap Seat Reviews hat or t-shirt or hoodie or sticker or whatever. So go do that. Facebook.com/cheapseatreviews. And of course, we're on Instagram, Twitter, all the places that we are. You know where we are. Fine.
Somewhere, send us a message and tell us what your favorite Christmas movie is. I'm just curious to know.
Yeah, definitely. Either on Facebook Messenger is great, or you can email. You could do it through Twitter, but Sam manages a Twitter account, and I don't know how often he checks it. So
you can send messages through Instagram as well, right?
Yeah, you can definitely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. If you're on Instagram, send me a message through Instagram to let me know what are your like top 3. And I'll ask that. I'll put that out on Instagram too. Like, what are your favorite Christmas movies to watch? So, thanks for that, Andrew. I appreciate it. That's it. Thank you all so much for listening. So, on behalf of Andrew, this is Shawn saying thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next week for Violent Night.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.